Welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about one of the new premium squads, the new 38th Division, 113th Infantry Regiment. These are our Chinese fellas. So, per their description, they were formed in 1941 as part of the new 38th Division, mainly consisting of soldiers from Hunan Province. The 113th participated in the Burma campaign, fierce fighting battles in the Yinangyang against the Japanese with numerically inferior force, and rescued over 7,000 British soldiers along with 500 prisoners and civilians that had been encircled for days. This is a premium assault squad at BR2, and their most unique thing is the Thompson 7.63. So, let's check them out, let's look at them, see what makes them different. Primarily, we're going to be comparing them against the 2nd Marine Raider Battalion, but I'm also going to compare them against the BSA Thompsons, just because they're all Thompsons. We might look a little bit at some of the other Tech Tree SMGs, but that's really primarily what we're going to look at. So, to predicate this whole discussion, we should establish that now there are legacy premium squads, what I'm coining neo-legacy squads, and the new modern squads, which are whatever they sell going forward. So the change in format happened with this update. So in the past, we had legacy premium squads. Originally, they were 4-man squads, but a couple years ago, they got an add-on engineer, which is a non-premium engineer that uses weapons that are different than the rest of the squad. But that updated them to a 5-man standard, and all of the Neo premium squads that came out after that change, they all came with 5 guys that used premium weapons, and one of those guys was an engineer. In the most recent update, they've added on another slot to all of the legacy premium squads and the Neo premium squads. So in the case of a legacy squad, what that means is you now have one add-on engineer who is not a premium soldier, who does not use the same premium weapon. You now have a second slot that can be an engineer or an AT soldier that does not use the premium weapon, right? For the Neo Legacy squads, you have a premium engineer that uses the same kit as everybody else, and now you have an add-on slot that is a non-premium soldier that can be an AT soldier or an engineer that uses Tech Tree weapons, okay? I hope everybody's still with me. Now, for some of the new squads, like the T-24 squad, which I'll go over in a separate video in the future, they follow the new format, where it is a 6-man squad. One of them is an engineer who uses the same weapon as everybody else, and one of them is an add-on soldier that can either be an engineer or an AT soldier who does not use the same weapons as everybody else. Okay? This squad, the 113th, does not follow that format. It's kind of interesting, it's a little bit weird. I'm a little bit surprised because one squad does and one squad doesn't. So my assumption is that they finished preparing this squad first and they got forgotten about. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was a conscious choice because they're BR2 and maybe they felt like it would be powerful at BR2. But this is going to be one of the key differences between the Marine Raiders and these guys. So their format is one engineer, one AT soldier, and 3 assaulters, and all of them come with the Thompson 763 as a 5-man squad, which is pretty good. Also, they all have Chinese names, and they have kind of unique uniforms. They are a little bit different than the normal Allied uniforms, especially if you look at them in Battle of the Bulge. They have these cool blue uniforms. And you can put those on in other places, but to be honest, in like Burma and in the Pacific, I don't think you'd really want to. But it's an option. Now, as for the gun itself, the Thompson 763, it's coming in at BR2, it does 6.8 damage at 10 meters, it does 3.4 at 100, so it does have a bit of drop off there. It's shooting at 810 rounds a minute, which is really good, especially at BR2, with a reload time of 2.2 seconds. It is a shot deviation of 84, recoil percentage of 60, and its recoil is 1810. And it has a 30-round magazine. It fires in auto and semi-auto. I've never put it in semi-auto, but maybe you will. It's also worth noting that this has a bipod. Also, it weighs 4 kilos, so not the lightest thing in the world, not the heaviest thing in the world. Generally speaking, I think it's a pretty good feeling gun. I like having 30 rounds. I think that does give you some staying power. Now, if we look at it against the Marine Raiders weapon, they have the USMC 1928, and it's going to do 8.2 damage, so it is doing a decent chunk more damage. 2.4 more. But what you're giving up for that is 10 rounds out of your magazine. So it does mean that you have to reload a lot more often, and that can be a downside. Also, you don't have a bipod. You do have the same fire rate at 810. Your reload's actually faster on the 1928 Thompson at 1.4, which does help to mitigate the smaller magazine size, but your recoil's a little bit different, your shot deviation's different, so you're looking at 68 for your shot deviation, 70% for your recoil control, but you have 40-10 for your vertical horizontal versus the 18-10 on the other one. So initially that sounds like it isn't great. The thing is, having 10 horizontal really isn't bad at all. Vertical's fairly player controllable, plus there are really accessible perks in the game that can cut down on your vertical recoil. So the USMC Thompson has never felt bad to me before. That's why I think in a lot of ways it's very just player choice when it comes to these two weapons. I think the 763, its greater shot deviation doesn't necessarily feel great, but it does feel like a more stable platform. But the two of them feel very interchangeable. I run the two of them side by side. I've mentioned before that, at least to me, the Thompson is peak American fantasy. So if I'm going to go into a World War II game, there are certain weapons that, like, stand out. And you can have weapons that are like really lucrative because they're powerful, but these stand out because they're iconic. So, like, when I play America, I want to use, like, Thompsons and M1 Garands and bars, right? Because they are just the stereotypical American World War II guns. It's like when you go and you play, like, Russia, you want to use PPSHs or like, DP-27s, that sort of thing. Like, obviously there are weapons in every nation that are cool because they're either unique or they're powerful, right? But as far as icons of America, this really fits it. And so that's the great thing about this squad, and the Marine Raiders for that matter. They're available at BR2, which is a BR that you normally can't get Thompsons at. And don't get me wrong, there are some great weapons at BR2, like the Lanchester is great, and the M3A1 grease gun can be really good. They're just not guns that I really care all that much about. Like, they're neat, but that's about where it stops. Whereas the Thompsons are awesome, and they're iconic, and I love them. They're great. They're like some of my favorite guns in the game. Especially now that they've updated their reload, and I feel like their sights have gotten a little bit better. I just feel like they've adjusted them a little bit. So normally you can only get them at, like, BR3, but with these two premium squads, and with the BSA Thompson, you can get them at BR2. That is, like, a huge leap in the favor of this squad. Like, this squad is available right now. They're at BR2, and they get Thompsons. As far as whether their Thompson is better or worse than Then the USMC Thompson, again, I think it 100% comes down to player preference. If you're okay with having to reload frequently, and you're confident in playing in, like, smaller bursts, you know, like, step into a hallway, shoot a couple guys, step into a room, reload, step back into the hallway, you know, something like that, or, like, moving corner to corner around buildings or whatever, they can be very useful. But 20 rounds is a constraint, even though you reload faster. 30 rounds is just going to be more forgiving. If you run into a building and there's like 7 dudes in there, you have a better chance of taking out 7 guys with 30 rounds than you do with 20. I mean, either way, you're probably screwed, but I think you have a better chance with 30, even if you're doing a little bit less damage. Because 6.8 at point blank, like when you're clearing buildings, it's enough. I'm pretty sure, unless they have vitality, you should be two-shotting people, regardless, so... Again, I think it's personal preference, whatever you're more comfortable with. And this is basically the same argument you're going to get for the BSA Thompson. Now, the BSA Thompson is another 20-round Thompson. It's doing 8.2 damage at 10 meters, just like the Marine Thompson. It's shooting at 750 rounds a minute, so it's shooting slower. Its reload time is 2.3, so this is more in line with the Chinese Thompson. Its deviation 64, its recoil control 60, and its vertical horizontal is 3410. So, generally speaking, personally, I think the Marine Thompsons are better than the BSA Thompsons. I just like Thompsons, so I run a whole squad of BSA Thompsons. By proxy, because I think the Marine Thompson is a side grade to the Chinese Thompson. I think this is probably going to be a very minor step down from the Chinese Thompson. The stats are really close, but I think what gets it is the reload time. Having 20 rounds plus the 2.3 second reload, I think that's where it gets it. The Marine Thompson having a 1.4 second reload time with 20 rounds makes it very competitive. Not to say that this isn't competitive, like, I have great battles running around with BSA Thompsons. Like I said, I really like them, but, you know, if you're one of those individuals who really likes min-maxing everything, you're probably going to prefer one of the other two. Admittedly, the vertical recoil is better than the Thompson, but you also have 10% less recoil control. How much that matters, I honestly don't know. Now, the other major benefit to either the Tech Tree Squad or to the Marine Squad is going to be the composition of the squad itself. The Chinese squad is only a 5-man squad. You are getting an AT soldier now, though, which is fantastic. That being said, with the Marine Raiders, you're getting a 6-man squad to a 5-man squad. And, to be honest, this is something I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's something that I've talked to one of my friends about a little bit. It almost feels like it's semantics when you're only adding one guy. But when I think about the difference between a 4-man squad and a 5-man squad, it feels really significant. When I think about a 5 to a 6, it doesn't feel as significant, but statistically, it's like a 20% increase to your squad. So, theoretically, this is about a 20% greater chance that you can swap to a second soldier. It's about a 20% greater chance that you have more firepower in your squad, you know, assuming that the AI actually shoot at what you want them to shoot at. Like, on paper, it's always going to be better to have more guys in your squad. And so, because of that, I have to give the edge to the Marine Raiders. Just because premium squad to premium squad, you're both getting premium bonuses. Theoretically, if you really wanted to, you could throw a premium engineer, like not a premium engineer, like a gold order engineer into the squad, or a gold order AT soldier into the squad. I use an AT soldier. I don't really see the need for having 2 engineers, but, you know, that's up to you. Maybe you have a reason why you need 2 engineers. Maybe you want to tell one to build stuff so you can run off and do other things. But, I don't know. The same question can go from a 6-man squad to a 7-man squad. Like, going to the tech tree squad, you do get a 7-man squad with a tech tree squad. You do get more options with how you create the squad. So for example, mine is 4 assaulters, it has an AT soldier, an engineer, and a machine gunner. In some cases, you'll be able to put a medic in which case you can still get 5 submachine guns. You wouldn't be able to do that with BSA Thompsons because you can only get 4 of them, but theoretically if you were using like 5 Lanchesters, right? The Lanchester's a very competitive gun. You could theoretically run 5 Lanchesters. It's just not how my squad is set up. You are gaining more by having a 7th guy, you have more depth, you have the ability to take more attrition. But, and this is the key difference here, you are not a premium squad. And so, if you're trying to research things, then the premium squad is going to be superior. If you're a newer player, the premium squad's going to be superior. If you're an older player like me, and you need silver, the premium squads are going to be superior because more XP means more silver. So, that's to say, I think having a 6-man squad, especially with like the changes that they've made coming into this update, giving you access to an AT soldier on all of these premium squads, it's really revitalized assault squads to me. They have a ton more value than they've ever had before. I think I would go with the premium squad nowadays. In the past, I would have always said go for tech tree squad, because the tech tree squad had 2 more guys, 3 more specialists, but now you're getting 1 more specialist, and of all of the specialists in the squad, to me, it's the 1 specialist that matters the least. Like the engineer and the AT soldier to me are the 2 most important specialists you can put in any squad. The engineer builds ammo, they build spawn points, they can build things to annoy the enemy. The AT soldier is basically the Control-Alt-Delete button to tanks. Tanks can be very dangerous if you leave them alone, but a machine gunner is basically just a spicy assaulter. A sniper is honestly not really great in an assault squad, in my opinion. Unless you're like, I don't know, high-tier Germany, I guess. So, I don't think that there's enough of a difference at this point to say that premium assault squads, generally speaking, are worse than tech tree assault squads. I think that they're very, very much so on par with each other now, and it's amazing, and I love it. But if I compare the 113th Regiment with the Chinese Thompsons to a tech tree squad, they start to fall into that old category of I might rather, or I might prefer to take a tech tree squad. And it's because they're a 5-man squad. They're missing out on 2 soldiers, not just 1. And, I mean, 2 soldiers is what, like a quarter of the unit? A little bit more than that. It's like a third of the unit, I think. I'm just spitballing in my head. Anyway, the point here is they still have the engineer, they still have the AT soldier, so they have all of the most important specialists in the squad, and it's awesome. They have 5 guys with Thompsons, which is awesome. They have really good Thompsons, in my opinion. Like at this BR, I think they perform fantastically. They're really good guns. I like them a lot. But there's only 5 of them. And I could have a 6-man premium squad, which I think is superior, or I could have a 7-man tech tree squad, which I think is arguably superior. Now, personally, is that going to stop me from running them? Absolutely not. I'm going to be running all 3 of these, side by side. but I still think it's something that, you know, you should consider if you're thinking about picking them up. So, going off of all of that, would I recommend them? Yeah, probably. If you're a new player and you're researching through the American tech tree, I think these guys are going to be great. You can run them alongside another assault squad, you can run them alongside what really depends on your lineup, right? If you're running with the stock 4 squads, one of them's going to be a vehicle, and then you have 2 more. If it's me, and I'm recommending you pick up things, I would always recommend you get the half-track first, just because I think it's the highest value premium squad in the game. But, assuming that you have the half-track, yeah, sure, get these guys, run them alongside the half-track, and then your 4th slot is kind of whatever. Well, and actually, I think you'd have 1 more slot, because these can go in the premium slot, so you have 2 more slots to fill up with whatever you want. So, no, I don't think that they're a bad pickup. That being said, if, let's say, Darkflow comes out with the Marine Raiders next week, because, I don't know, pick a reason, I don't know. They feel like coming out with Marine Raiders, there's a winter sale, whatever, right? I would get the Marine Raiders over these guys. You may disagree, though. You may really not like 20-round Thompsons. That's a reason not to get the Marine Raiders and to get these guys. You may not care about 1 extra guy, because at the end of the day, an artillery shell is going to come down and it's going to kill everybody in your squad anyway. That's also a reason to just get these guys. These guys are representative of a group of people that have not been enlisted before. That's a good reason to get these guys. I actually think one of the coolest things about this squad is that they bring China into the game. And I really hope that we see a lot more of it. It's probably the biggest thing that I think was amiss with the Burma update. Like, this update is awesome. There's so many cool things in it. But I kind of wish we saw more Chinese forces, and I kind of wish we saw more British forces, just because of the nature of the theater. Now, if you're an older player, if you have everything in the tech tree, they probably don't bring as much value to you. It really just comes down to, are you like me? Are you a nerd that just likes to use Thompsons? Well, then I think it's a no-brainer. You pick them up because you like Thompsons. If not, they're not really adding anything significant that you don't already have in your lineup. Like, you can make tech tree squads that are every bit as good, probably better because they have 7 guys in them. If you've already got the Marine Raiders, you've already heard my spiel on the Marine Raiders. So, TLDR, new player, good pickup. Especially because they're available now, Marine Raiders aren't. Old player, eh. So let me know what you think down below. What do you think of them? Do you like them? Do you think they should have arranged the squad a little bit differently? Personally, and I mentioned this at the beginning, I feel like they should have been a 6-man squad. I don't really get why they aren't, because when I first got them, I looked at my legacy squads, and I was like, oh, well, they got the 6th guy. I looked at my Neo Legacy squads, huh, they also get the 6th guy. And then I looked at the T-24 squad, which is new this update, and they also got the 6th guy, so it just seems weird to me. I don't know why exactly they ended up this way, but it is what it is. Now, I will add this, like, footnote, I guess, or, like, final caveat to this. If they do get a 6th guy, if it's just, like, an add-on guy of any type, then I think the squad's going to be every bit as good as the Marine Raiders, and them being available now says pick them up, but then it really just does become a choice between the 2 guns, and which one's better. If they add a 6th guy into this squad, and they keep the AT soldier with the Thompson, and they add in, like, a 4th assaulter, and he also has a Thompson, then it's this squad 100% of the time, because this squad will be the only way to get 6 guys with SMGs in the game. And that would be phenomenal. So, assuming that either of those two changes happen, these guys suddenly climb up to the top of, like, the American BR2 ladder. But in any other circumstance, then it's an up-to-you choice. They're good, there's nothing bad about them. There are just other options that you might find more competitive or you might prefer. So, let me know what you think. As per usual, get out there, kick ass, take names, and win your games.